We got a goodie, ladies and gentlemen. How I invest 3 ETF portfolio differently. Roth IRA versus brokerage versus 401k. So this guy here, Professor G-Spot, is going to tell us how we should invest our money because he's actually going to reveal how he splits his money amongst different accounts. You got the Roth IRA, it's a retirement account, you get tax up front, and you don't get taxed later. Brokerage is taxed all the time, and the 401k, which could be either taxed up front or on the end. Professor G is an expert in finance and a professor in portfolio asset allocation. And I just wanted to highlight this video to share the wisdom of this Mr. Clown here, okay? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say clown. He's a good, smart man. And he's got this book down here, $1 Billion Brand Club. So let's hear what old Professor G-Spot has to say with all his little books that he didn't even freaking read. You can tell they haven't even been opened. All right, here we go.
The new updated 3-fund portfolio is taking over the world and is by far one of the strongest performing ways to invest in 2024. I have multiple videos explaining this more in depth, and I'll link to that in the description below and queue it up to play after this video ends for those of you who don't already invest in this. This style of investing gives you stability and history of funds like the S&P 500 or the total US stock market investing, alongside the possible growth potential and upside of purely AI and technology sectors, while also giving you much safety in the form of cash flow, while providing a larger dividend than that of the S&P 500 to give you...
Okay, so if you don't know what the 3-fund portfolio is, it's basically 3 different ETFs. S&P 500, because, U.S. stocks, bro. SCHD, which is the, dividend ETF that everybody loves because it went up a lot. And some kind of growth ETF, like VUG My Bug or QQQ. The updated 3-fund portfolio is a complete laughingstock. It is a joke. If you just want to invest in U.S. only, you only need one ETF. That's VTI. What this man did is he invested part of his money in VOO, the S&P 500, and then he basically roughly replicated VOO by buying a growth ETF, basically, big tech companies, and then SCHD, companies that paid dividends. The S&P 500 has all of those. The total U.S. market has all of those. So you could just simplify this clownish garbage portfolio with just one ETF. But trust me, guys, he's very sophisticated, okay? It gets dividends. And I've already talked about dividends, but I'm sure I'll rant later on in this video about them. Let's keep watching.
You cash even if the portfolio drops in value due to a slight market downturn. Many people recognize that this is a very strong way to invest, but inevitably...
Who? You? Is there any serious investment professional that would say, oh, VOO, and then we're gonna overlap that with growth, which is in VOO, and we're gonna put dividends in there, which is also in VOO. Let's just have 3 ETFs instead of 1, which is the same freaking thing, right? Yeah, everybody's saying it, bro. It's the new modern portfolio invented by a YouTube doofus like this, Mr. PPP Loan. Yeah, I know about that bussy boy.
I get the question, how do I invest in these 3 funds? Specifically when we're talking about different types of investing accounts, such as the 401k versus a Roth IRA versus a taxable brokerage account.
Okay, well, let's go back just a dab here. IRAs, there's the traditional version and there's the Roth version. 401ks, many employers offer both the traditional and Roth. As a matter of fact, I have both. I use the Roth because I guess I'm a clown. But there's a Roth 401k, okay? You can there's different ways to manage your taxes, and he doesn't even mention half of them in here. And then, of course, he has the taxable brokerage, which if you don't need the money till retirement, you shouldn't even put freaking money in there, to be perfectly honest. Because if the money's there for retirement, you might as well get the tax advantages, okay? If you need money before retirement, okay, maybe you probably need a taxable brokerage account. But he doesn't even cover the whole universe. He doesn't even probably know what the freaking difference is. Let's keep watching.
Versus a Roth IRA versus a taxable brokerage account. This is precisely the question to be asking, so good job. You guys must be listening and taking notes in class, which makes this Professor Hart very happy.
Oh yeah, I'm taking so many notes, Mr. G-Spot.
I'm Govea, and I made this channel to make investing simplified. So let's simplify this question. Now there's a couple of main reasons for this question.
Okay, just quick, I'm sorry I keep interrupting. You know what investing simplified is? Buying VT, one ETF. That's investing simplified. This garbage, which you're about to see, is the opposite of simplicity. It's clownery.
The first surrounds the idea of taxes, and the second surrounds this idea of time or strategy. But before we get to that, let me just remind you what each of these three funds do, because if you understand that, then you'll understand why we get to where we get to by the end of this video. Because without understanding that, none of this is going to make sense. So the first fund in the three fund portfolio is foundational. This is called foundational because it's like when you build your house and you want it to be on something solid. Same thing is true in investing in stocks or in the stock market.
Okay, house solid. ETF solid. Okay, I think I'm understanding, Professor G.
Want something that's been tried and true, been around for a while, has a lot of history, seen ups and downs, but consistently goes up long term. And that would be things like the S&P 500, like SPY, or VOO, or SPLG. Or
okay, it's all the same thing. What about VTI? Well, oh, you don't need the small caps because, you know, they just didn't go up as much in the last 10 years, so you don't need those guys. I like the little public.com plug here.
You could go with the total US stock market index, like VTI from.
Okay, there you go. If you want to do US only, this is the way to go. You don't need any of this other garbage.
Vanguard. The next one is this growth style. And this one's super exciting, the one that everybody's talking about now with companies like Nvidia or Tesla or Meta or Amazon. This one's definitely the one that's going to shoot up the most, but it does have the most amount of volatility.
Oh, everybody's talking about it. So funny enough, if you go pull up the top holdings of VOO, SPY, SPLUG, or whatever, SPLUG, my jiggly jugs, and VTI or whatever, you can see all those stocks are already in that. But no, everybody's talking about these new exciting names that everybody's buying. And if everybody loves it and is all piling into it, your expected returns are going to be really high there, aren't they, right? And oh, it shoots up a lot. It shoots up a lot, bro. Why? Because it did in the past. It's common sense. Take a line, take a pencil, and just follow the 45-degree angle forever into infinity. It's common sense, bro.
So you do want to keep that in mind. This would be ones like QQQ or QQQM or SCHD from Charles Schwab or VUG from Vanguard.
Do not, for the love of God, buy VUG. Oh my Jesus. We'll cover that in another video. But the whole point is, these are all in the S&P 500. Why do I need these ETFs on top of the S&P 500? I don't understand, Professor G. But they go up more, bro. Well, okay, if they go up more, why don't I just put all my money in VUG my bug? Oh, that's right, because maybe past performance is not indicative of future performance. And if everybody's piling into it, you might want to be a little bit concerned about it. Or at least not overweighting it. You should let the market decide instead of massively overweighting these cool, hyped-up companies, right? No, vertical lines. It's future, bro. U.S. stocks, bro.
Last would be a dividend-type fund or cash flow-type producing fund. Ones like SCHD from Charles Schwab, or VYM from Vanguard, or even JEPI, J-E-P-I.
No, do not. JEPI is like this weird synthetic covered call, disaster, exchange, Elon piece of garbage, okay? Oh, but it's got a lot of dividends, bro. Okay, you know the S&P 500 has companies that pay dividends. If you own one of those ETFs, you're gonna see like once every 3 months or wherever the payment is, you're gonna see the ETF drop, and then you're gonna get a dividend. The S&P 500 already has dividends because many of the companies that he's telling you to buy within these ETF wrappers, which his parents wrapped it up, are already in the S&P 500.
The dividend fund is great for when you're retired or when you want to start living off of this dividend income as passive income. It's great because it's producing an income every single month or quarter, and it makes it so that you don't have to sell your shares in order to reap the benefits.
No, total return is all that matters, okay? What if I gave you a fund that paid 4% dividends, and it didn't go up ever, And then I said, okay, well, how about this other fund that pays a 1% dividend, but it goes up 10% per year? Your little pea brains, you'd be like, but the dividend's higher on the first one, so I'm going to buy that one because it's up dividend. I'd rather own the one that goes up 10%, assuming it goes up 10% in this scenario. I'd rather own that one and get the total return that is higher. And yeah, I'll sell some shares. 100%. I'd rather do that because my total return is higher. Look at this guy's face. This guy's such a scamp fraud.
The problem is that if this type of an account or stock is in a taxable brokerage, you have to pay taxes on the dividend even if you just reinvest the dividend straight back into the fund and never see that money while it's building up. This video isn't about which category is best, or you really like one or all of those ETFs that I just talked about. Throw that down in the comment section below so that others can learn about what you think might be best.
Do not promote this degenerate in the algorithm.
So now that we understand each one of these funds, now we need to understand each of the investing accounts that are in question. And the first is a 401k and also the traditional or simple IRA. This account is purely for retirement, so anything you invest in it can't be taken out without a penalty until after age 59 and a half. The advantage for this account is that you don't get taxed on the money that goes in right now, but later on when you do withdraw, you're going to be taxed at that point.
That's funny because I have a Roth 401k and I pay taxes up front and then it's going to come out tax-free in retirement. But, thanks for the complete picture there, Professor G-Spot. And there's actually a way I believe you can take money out of your 401k at 55. But we're not going to cover that in this video. But, okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He showed you a quick snapshot that he just pulled from Google. And he is an expert on retirement plans because he's a CFA, CPA, doctorate in accounting and finance. He's got 20 years in the hedge fund. He just knows everything, bro. Psych, he's just some dork on YouTube.
The next account is a retirement account as well, but it's almost exactly opposite to that of the 401k or the traditional IRA. And this one is the Roth IRA. You still shouldn't take the money out until after age 59 and a half, but any money that you put in now gets taxed ahead of time or right now, and then it gets to grow tax-free, and anything you withdraw at retirement age is totally tax-free. So anything it's grown to with all that compound interest, totally tax-free. Another big pro about the Roth IRA that a lot of people don't know or don't talk about is that you can actually take out any of the money that you do put into the Roth IRA since it was already taxed up front.
That's true, but you sure as hell better not do that, ladies and gentlemen, okay? You can take out contributions. Earnings, you can't. Contributions, you can take out. But for the love of God, you need to go see a CPA if you freaking do that, okay? Because you're going to screw it up, probably pay freaking taxes on it because you don't know what you're doing. You'll screw up your tax forms. But that is true. But you better not freaking do that. That's for retirement.
So anything that you allocated, you can take out of the Roth IRA if you want to. You just can't take anything that it's grown to or the dividends or anything like that until after 59 and a half. Now, you shouldn't be taking money out of your retirement account. You should try to let it sit there and grow because the bigger that it is, the more compound interest that could happen for you. And the last account here is that taxable brokerage. This one is not a retirement account, which is very important to understand, which means that you can put money in and take it out at any time without a penalty. The issue with this one is that, first of all, any money that gets put in doesn't get a tax advantage at all. Secondly, if you were to buy a stock for $50 and it goes up to $75, that gain of $25 will be taxed when you sell the stock and take out the money. We're all investing in order to make our money grow, and so we want to make sure and invest in the right types of funds and the right types of accounts. In a second, I'll explain exactly which funds go where and exactly how much as far as percentage of each of the 3 ETF categories to go within whichever type of account.
You guys are going to love the end of this video. All right. My philosophy is if you do not need the money till retirement, everything should go into a tax advantage account. If you don't need the money till retirement, there is no reason that you should put it into a taxable brokerage account, okay? It's as simple as that. If you need money before retirement, you want to retire early, like, I don't know, you want to retire at 40 because you bought QQQ, then okay, maybe you need some money in your taxable account.
Let's start with the Roth IRA, which was that second one that I discussed earlier. This one is the easiest for you to pick what and how to invest because you've already been taxed. There's no more taxes no matter what you invest in, no matter what. Now,
okay, well, that's actually not, it's irrelevant because even if you have to, let's say you put money in a traditional IRA or a traditional 401k. While the money's in there, you could pick and choose whatever you want. Get dividends, buy, sell, no tax consequences. It's when you take the money out. But what's in it beforehand, it shouldn't matter whatsoever.
Invest high dividend as you get them, but within the Roth IRA, like I said, once you've been taxed once, you're never taxed again. For most, I've seen it work best if you
oh my God. Let's let him talk.
Invest 1/3 of the total account in each one of those 3 funds for the 3-fund portfolio.
Can somebody, let's go back. Can somebody explain this to me? So he literally just said the Roth IRA gives you tax advantages. So you don't want to, let's say you have a high, let's say for some reason you have a high dividend ETF because you're a clown. Yeah, that should go in your Roth IRA. If something pays interest, it should go in your Roth IRA. Basically anything should go in there. But you know what he does? He says, well, despite me explaining that the Roth IRA offers tax advantages, you still want to split it 3-3-3. Third. Why? You completely lectured us on tax advantage accounts, dividends and interest taxes, and then you split it 3 ways anyway. I mean, if I had a choice, I'd put the frickin', the dividend one in the Roth IRA. That's probably what I would do. Well, despite all this, I'm just going to split it like a clown anyway with random percentages. So a third sounds good, right? Because it's the modern 3-fund portfolio. God, this guy makes me want to scream.
Count in each one of those 3 funds for the 3-fund portfolio. Just because, yes, dividends is the ultimate hack, especially within the Roth when you retire. But for now, we do want that potential of the higher growth so that price appreciation can happen as well. So we do want the power of those other 2 funds to make it that 3-fund portfolio.
Got it. So, because there's funds that go up more. So you got to have those because they go up more because they do. And we'll just ignore the tax advantages, and we'll just split it third, because we're doofuses. Okay, got it.
Next, let's stick with the other retirement accounts, which would be that 401k or the simple or traditional IRA. This one's a little tricky because you will be taxed on whatever you withdraw later on.
That's false. I have a 401k. I have multiple 401ks. But please, Mr. Finance Expert, continue.
Mind that you're not taxed at all while it's growing though. So even if you invest in dividend style funds, or if you invest in a certain company or ETF and it grows a bunch, you're not taxed while it's growing. Specifically in a 401k or a 403b like I have at my university, you need to watch out for the fees. In my 403b specifically, the fees are really high for those really specialty style funds, things like the target date funds or even the growth funds. And so for me personally, I really like to pick the S&P 500 because for that one actually has the lowest fee out of anything else that I could pick. Obviously you should be
Wow, that's the most reasonable part of your portfolio there. Whatever his freaking name is.
Picking which you think is best for your investing strategy, but consider the taxes later and the fees now and later in your decision. Lastly would be the brokerage, and this is definitely the most complicated and individualized based on the individual and specific needs of that person. I'll tell you what to be mindful of, and then afterwards I'm going to explain exactly how I'm investing within each one of my 3 accounts. Now with a brokerage account, the biggest thing is no surprise, and that's the taxes. Specifically with dividends, but also with price appreciation eventually. So specifically as it pertains to dividends, remember that you're going to be taxed on the dividend no matter what. Even if you're reinvesting that dividend directly right back into the fund and you never actually see the dividend or use the dividend, you're still being taxed on that.
Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but generally it's true. There's actually, if it's a qualified dividend and you make under a certain amount, there's a potential that it won't be taxed by the federal government. Your state, if it has state income tax, will probably tax it anyway. I know Virginia doesn't give a crap.
At the end of the year. So the funds to be cognizant of this would be ones like SCHD, VYM, JEPI, and those types. As far as share price appreciation, you still have to understand that later on, the only way that you're actually going to see any money, that you're going to make money, is when you sell the share. Say you bought the share at $200 and it went up to $1,000. That's amazing, but the only way that you're actually going to see the money is if you sell that share. So when you do sell that share and you did make an $800 gain, you're going to be taxed on that $800. These types of funds to look out for or just be cognizant of would be the growth funds. Things like SCHD, VUG, VGT, any of those ones that have high growth, specifically nowadays would be things like high technology, high AI, and semiconductors.
They just grow a lot, bro. I mean, honestly, if I knew VGT was going to vertical line forever into the future, I would, even if I had to pay massive capital gains taxes on it, I would still buy that one because I'm getting a total after-tax total return that is higher than anything else. It's all about total return after tax in a brokerage account. You want to minimize your transactions and you want to minimize your taxes in a taxable account. It's as simple as that.
So how do I invest in my brokerage account versus my retirement accounts? First off, I'm 35, I have multiple streams of revenue, I have a fully funded emergency fund of at least 6 months of living expenses, and I have other assets such as rental properties and businesses that
weird flex, bro, like his little sleeve tattoo right here.
Are able to bring in cash flow, but also that might be a little bit riskier. And so I have to keep all of this in mind when I'm thinking about how I'm going to invest specifically. I personally just stick to 33% in each one of these 3 categories.
Once again, he explains the tax advantages, but then he just, oh, whatever, doesn't matter, I'll just do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. This guy is out of control. The whole point of this video is to like how to balance, you know, taxable versus tax advantage accounts. Obviously, you want interest. That's tax as ordinary income. You want that in a tax advantage account. If it's like a high dividend, you want that in a tax advantage account. I mean, it's pretty simple. And then he just completely changes the whole point of the video by violating everything he's teaching. Does this make sense to anybody? Or am I the crazy one here? I am, I guess, because, you know, he's got more subs, bro. He's got books that he never opened in his desk, bro. He's got a little peacock or whatever right there. Oh my god, he's got a sleeve. Oh my god, Professor G.
For my brokerage account, I'm fine paying the taxes as I go on the dividend style funds because it's not that crazy right now. And I like the dividend growth that I'm receiving, so my yield on cost is very nice. It would also be crazy for me not to want to take advantage of the growth sector because right now that thing is going crazy. So that's why I have about 33% in each one.
I hate it. I hate stocks. You can be this stupid and still succeed. Like, it's just... It's going up a lot, bro. It's blowing up. I'm stupid.
Within my retirement accounts, I do it very similarly. Like I said before, in my 401k or really 403b, I stick to 100% the S&P 500 because the fees are the lowest there. But then in my Roth IRA and my traditional IRA and anything that's outside the 403b, I invest purely in my dividend fund and my growth fund at 50-50 there.
Wait, what? Hold on.
I invest purely in my dividend fund and my growth fund at 50-50 there.
Oh, now we're at 50-50. So we got 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Then we got S&P 500. Then we got 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And then we got 50-50. This is not a rationally constructed portfolio. This is him just looking at stuff that went up a lot and then picking random allocations that he doesn't look at anything with tax advantages. He's just randomly throwing out allocations on the dartboard. This guy is an idiot. This guy is a clown. Do you not see this?
So I'm getting the full amount of foundational in my 403b, then split it 50-50 with growth and dividends in the other retirement accounts, which
I'll get the full foundation, and then I'll get the half foundation here, and then I get the vertical line here, I get the dividends here, and then like it's like a jumble of madness. There's no logic underpinning this. It's just fee-fees. Is this guy a chick?
Makes it about 33% in all of my retirement. As I get older, I'll rebalance and I'll make the dividend category bigger, but for me, at this age and my risk profile, this works very well.
You know what? I don't even care anymore. Let me know your comments or your feelings in the comments below. Talk to you later. Cheers!
Here. Because in other accounts, you're taxed on those dividends